going into the Army, did you want to fly?
I knew going into the Army initially, I knew I wanted to be in aviation. It was, I remember as a kid, I grew up around military bases, and I can remember sitting outside the airfields and just watching the helicopters and everything else. And I remember saying to myself, like, I don't care if I'm the guy that puts fuel in a helicopter. I just want to be around the helicopters.
Got it.
It was like, even now, I look at people that have been around this for years and years, and it's like, if you don't look at the aircraft through the eyes of a 5-year-old every once in a while, you're going to forget why you're doing this.
Yeah.
Right. Kids will look up in awe at aircraft at any given day. And yet, if you allow your profession of dealing with it as a day-to-day basis become the frustration, then it's like you're losing your passion.
Yeah.
Don't let the stress overwhelm you. You still have to walk away. And even as a crew, we would do that. It's like walk away from the aircraft after you shut down, look back, and just be like, helicopters are cool.
Yeah.
It's just, and they are. It's just something about them. It's a completely different ride than like flying an airplane or anything else, right? You have the ability to stop and just hover and
Sure.
look around, and it's like you could slow the pace down to where it's like, oh, cool. You're not going Mach 3. Everything's not whizzing by you. You get to, especially from the crew member standpoint, hang out the window like a dog with their ears flapping in the wind, and you just get to look around and take it all in, And it's like I flew at Campbell for a long time, and I was in medevac, and we would fly back and forth from Campbell to Nashville, all in patience, And I just remember, like, when they were building the stadium, that's how long ago it was. I'm dating myself. I remember the commander coming at us, and he's like, the first time I'm watching a football game and I see a Blackhawk fly over the stadium, I might have somebody's tail.
Oh, really?
It was like, because it's like they knew. It's like you sit there and everybody's looking at you at the same time when you're flying by, but you're enjoying it more of looking down upon everybody else and just, like, yeah, traffic sucks.
So you didn't want to do anything with fixed wing then?
Fixed wing. So you kind of have to make a really choice, right? The ability to go fixed wing in the Army is very, very small. So if you want to go in the Army, right, they have the largest, so believe it or not, more aircraft than the Air Force, but it's all rotary wing.
Right.
Very limited on the fixed wing side of the house. But at the same time, what my disadvantage was, and this is crazy because very few people know this, is I did not know that my job was actually had the ability to become a crew chief.
Really?
Yeah. So when I first took the job, and I sit there and I quote it to this day. The recruiter told me, it's like, I'm sitting there looking at a list of jobs, and it's like, it's Apache, avionics, armament electrician. That sounds complicated. Sounds above my level,
5 years of high school.
Yeah. And so then it was, as you're going through this whole list, and then and I'll tell you, and here's what's crazy. I didn't even know what the actual occupational skill designation was. I didn't know what 15 Tango meant.
Right.
I didn't know any of the numbers. I see UH-60 Blackhawk repair technician, and I'm like, cool. So I look at the recruiter. I said, what is that? He goes, that's Jiffy Lube for helicopters. I said, what?
15 minutes or less. Get him out of there.
He says the helicopters break. He goes, they pull them in the hangar. You change a part. You service them. You change the oil. Do whatever they need to do. You roll them back out, and that's it. That's your job. I said, now that sounds cool. And so it was like, sign me up. Well, you got to do a 6-year contract. Well, if I do 20 or whatever, what's the difference? I was like, at least I'll be around helicopters, which is all, at that point that I cared about. It's like, I just want to be in aviation. And I went that whole entire time through basic training all the way up. I remember getting to Fort Eustis, Virginia for AIT, and people were like, I can't wait to get my wings. And I'm like, what wings? And I'm like, we get wings on our uniform when we graduate. They said, you didn't know that? I said, no, I didn't know that. I took this job because it sounded cool. And then there was another. I remember one guy before. He's like, I can't wait to be a crew chief. I said, who gets to be a crew chief? They said, we get to be a crew chief. I said, who's we? I said, how did you get to be a crew chief? And it just blew my mind. So I was like, he's like, Yeah,
it's kind of like, please excuse the reference, like a Forrest Gump type thing.
it is. But
Right? Like, I don't know, I'm just here, man.
there's no like how to like this is how you do
Yeah.
it step by step. They don't give you that. They're just
Yeah.
like, hey, this is your job. This is what you're gonna do, right? You're gonna go to. Everybody's gonna do basic training. Then once you're done with basic training, you're gonna go to college. That
Right.
Army style, and then it's like we're gonna teach you how to do your job. Now the exchange for the teaching you how to do your job is you're gonna give us so many years
Of service back.
of zero service back to it. So it's like, okay, cool. So at the end of the day, it was just like, I got, in my eyes, it was like, I got a cool job, and now I got potential in this cool job, which I didn't think about the potential at all. Like, there's no potential with this. I get to Jiffy Lube for the next 20 years. Cool. And
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that.